Hello and welcome to this exciting short tutorial of Affinity Photo where I'm going to show you how to do HDR merge. So how to do HDR in Affinity Photo. It's very easy, very simple. All you have to do to have some photo ready with few different exposures. I have 4 photos here, as you can see. Let me make this a little bit bigger so that you can see it properly too. Here you have one completely overexposed, but foreground is pretty clearly see that foreground is pretty well exposed, but the sky is completely gone. There is no room for recovery. Second exposure is somewhere in between. I would say it's a good photo already. Need the foreground to be a bit more exposed. Third one, the foreground is pretty dark, but the sky is well exposed, although you do have some little bit of blown out highlights in the cloud. Fourth one, beautiful sky, well exposed, but the foreground is completely dark. So now, how can you do HDR using those photographs? Let me show you. So you go to new HDR merge. Pretty simple. You do have few options, pretty straightforward. Add or remove. To add or remove some photo. Then automatically align images. I always keep it to perspective, but you can play with the other one. I don't really play too much with them. I think the second one, I haven't played with it yet, but I have seen in the Affinity Photo tutorial at the official website where they say that you can manually do rotate, scale and translate, but I don't go through that much of trouble. Automatically remove ghost. So obviously in HDR you should have all the subjects static. If you have a windy situation or people are moving, then you might end up having like kind of like weird photographs. Affinity Photo will try to remove those ghost, those effects automatically. Also, noise reduction. Obviously, there are moments that you might have a lot of noises in your photo. I tend to keep it off. I tend to do it on my own. Tone map HDR image. If you want to create some HDR effects, I keep it on all the time. So anyway, let's add some photographs. So I go to my folder where my photos are, then go to the HDR tool, click them all, and then they're all there. Now you click OK, and depends on your size of your photo, you might have to wait a little bit. Fortunately, my photographs are not that big enough, so which is brilliant. Shouldn't take long. And this is our first HDR that Affinity Photo created by Affinity Photo, and that's without any effect. Then that's a neutral, I believe. If you click neutral, yep. Then you do have some presets. Let's go one by one. Detail give you that's one of those classic HDR look. I kind of don't like it. It depends on the subject. Like if I do have a long exposure with the beautiful clouds, I love that detail. Normally I don't. It just looks ugly to me. Cool, you do have cool, which is to give you a bit of a cool tone, blue tone. You have black and white, which is basically the detail version, black and white version of the detail. And finally you have the dramatic. I mean, we all know this effect. This is a very traditional HDR look. I tend to keep it neutral first of all, and once I'm done with them, all I do to manually add some contrast, just a touch, not too much, and then tone compression, add like a touch tone compression. Never, just because you have a big slider doesn't mean that you have to go all the way. You always have to change, do some subtle change, not too much. So we are done with that. My sky tend to be still a bit overblown, although my histogram says that it's alright, but it looks too white and bland to me. I don't like it. So what I can do, I can first bring some contrast to my foreground, then sky. So I go to the curve, So you can go to the curve and then pull the top layer down, just not too much, just down right there, and pull this one up. So as you can tell by that, you take, there you go, actually. So as you can tell, my sky looking a lot better, even though you have a little bit of blown up there, but that's acceptable. But I do have a little bit of contrast there now, which is I'm very happy about. Now I balance it up a little bit. Now I get to start to see a little bit of difference. I do have a quite good foreground and very visible background. So you see, like HDR is a good way to create some well exposed photograph, although you do need to do some work anyway. Even after all this work, I'm gonna turn down my highlight just a notch there, and finally I will be finishing up with white balance, and on that layer I'll be adding a high pass filter and zoom in about 100%. You cannot see anything, and right now you have a gray layer, you don't see much, but once you start to pull up the slider of the radius, you start to see something. You can see that about 1 pixel you start to see a little bit of edges of the photograph. So I want a bit more strong. I would go about, say, 1.3 should be enough right now. Let me see. You can see that you can see the houses. That's brilliant. Now blend mode, generally people will ask you to overlay or soft light. I like vivid light. Go back. Now go back a little bit, see how the overall looks like. Look at this, it's crunchy, it's beautiful. After that, this is basically it. So that's how you do HDR. After that, that's all afterthought.